Could you talk a little bit more about the motivation for looking for these, uncovering these women Yiddish writers?
Well, for one thing, I mean, just on a person who's interested in history in general, I think we should have accurate history, and I think we should look at people that have been erased, histories that have been erased. It's what we could call the history that's never taught. I mean, and the history that's never taught is very, very, like here in the United States. I mean, it's just, could fill volumes, it does fill volumes. Other people have written it, but it's not the official history. So there's that. And there's, I feel like there's an erasure there because it's a kind of paradox. I mean, on the one hand, women in the Yiddish Sviva were very, very, very active. One of the things that I experienced it was interesting to me that when I started looking for Yiddish, for a women Bundists, and I started going through Deutsches Bundessen, I had one of those sort of Holocaust moments where I actually had to stop doing it. I don't know, I'd gone through maybe 15, 20, like the first ones. I just did it alphabetically. I just, okay, here's a woman, I'm going to read about her. Here's the next one, I'm going to read. I wasn't taking notes, I was just, and it was incredible to me, reading them, the amount of energy that they had in establishing these schools, these libraries, these health centers, these children things. I was just to the point that, and I knew they'd been all killed. I mean, and I knew it had all been wiped out. And it was like, I couldn't do it. I mean, I had originally this idea that we would translate and have a book of these women Bundes. I don't know, it's still an idea I haven't totally let go of. But at the time that I did it, which was probably about 10, 15 years ago, I had to just stop reading because I couldn't take it. I just could not take the fact that they were all sort of just wiped out because there was so much that they did. And I feel like, I mean, it's like anything. I mean, with writers, people, on the one hand, women were discriminated against. I think there's a double discrimination. Let me put it this way. And this is what I argue in the introduction to Found Treasures. There's a double discrimination. Women did publish, and they very often did their own publishing, or they were associated with some men and they published. So they published work. They, however, were not sort of viewed in the same way and were not read with the same seriousness as men writers, and that could be seen in reviews and whatever. That was one. The other phase of that was the translation of Yiddish literature into English, beginning with like Irving Howe. And that totally erased women. So it was even worse in English than it actually was in Yiddish. So there's like a double thing going on. And I think, I just think that that's horrendous. I mean, I think it's terrible. And I'm very interested in that period. I envy the interwar period in Poland. Mainly, I don't romanticize it. I know exactly what happened and what was going on and all the forces that were, the terrible forces. But at the same time, I feel there was a kind of incredible energy there and excitement about the possibilities of what Jewish life could be that I really envy. And there was an interaction, and so I'm very drawn to that period, and I want to know more about it. I feel that it is my legacy. I mean, if I, not wanting to, muddle things, but, the Bund was always, was very strongly before the war anti-Zionist. And I was raised, I don't know if I was raised anti-Zionist, because already by the time I was conscious, Israel already existed, and the Bund made its peace with the fact that there was an Israel. But I never had the Zionist idea that I was, that my home was there. I always felt that my home was in Poland. I felt that my real home was that period. that sort of time, geographic period of that time. And that's the loss that I mourn, and that's the home that I feel I lost, and that's where my legacy is. And so I want to, first of all, make sure that it gets remembered. I want to pass it on to other people. I think it's useful. I don't think it's anachronistic. I don't think it's something, I hope people are not going to come just to think, oh, this is a very nice hiatus from the horrible circumstances in which we're living in on October 22nd. It's going to be the anniversary of the founding of the Bund, which was in 1897, 120th anniversary, founded in Vilna. I hope it'll inspire, I don't expect them to become Bundists, but I hope it'll give people a way of looking at things differently, and because they lived in terrible times and we live in terrible times. They're not exactly the same, but I know we despair a lot. They didn't totally despair, they fought, and I think it's important. So I feel a kind of total debt to them in some ways. I mean, working even on this brochure with Danny Sawyer has been very wonderful for me. I mean, it's been, the only thing I don't like about it is the pressure and the deadlines. I can't stand it. But the research and the putting it together has been just wonderful. I've loved it. It's one of the best things I could have done. I feel like it's my homage to them, and I'm willing to give up my time and my energy for it. I very much feel indebted to them. I feel my worldview is indebted to them. I feel my writing is indebted to them. So I want others to see it as well.